Continuing to keep you updated on the Mica, Francis, and John Paul Miller case. Boy, do we have some things to get into for this update. Yes, once again, as it has been taking place every Sunday since Mica's passing, more protests outside of Solid Rock at Market Common on Sunday, June 30th. Now, JP was absent the week prior, but he was back out there today. And, well, it was just chaos. That's all I can tell you for right now. We're going to get into it, though. Also, this was the day that the church had advertised for their Superhero Sunday, where they were encouraging people to wear, T-shirts or, different, clothes of their favorite superhero to honor those that have, lost their lives as members of either Solid Rock Church or, others in their lives as well. And a lot of people tied this into, JP's just love and obsession of Spider-Man and, how it just wanted to give them a reason for people to, wear the costumes and the different outfits. Well, it didn't pan out so well. Not really anybody from the church there seen wearing any of these, superhero type shirts or anything like that. Although Spider-Man was out there at the church, as has been the case for most weeks out there at Solid Rock. But what happened? Police were called out to Solid Rock. Yeah, we're talking about, now the church is getting a little bit, hostile here with the protesters. And we're going to talk about what happened at the church in more detail. But also, Trisha Ross, JP's right hand, has apparently been hospitalized. Now, this is coming off of, a series of posts that she had put out on social media very recently. In fact, she had brought up the Superhero Sunday that they had planned and said that Mica was somebody that was a big advocate for it. And she was, yelling and just going at people who were saying that JP had something to do even with her own husband's death. And now she's been hospitalized. We'll tell you what exactly she is in there for. And of course, how can I forget the latest video from JP? Because yes, he was back at it again. A new video that was posted on Saturday, June 29th. And oh boy, we got some problems here. JP's not doing too well. We'll talk about why that is, along with everything else I mentioned here in just a second. But before we do, hey, I got to welcome all of you to Not By Sight News. Yes, blind Christian guy here reporting to you, reminding you as always that we walk by faith, not by sight. For someone like me, that's kind of my only option. Speaking of that, for those interested, you want to know my story. How did I go blind? How do I operate my entire ministry without being able to see everything that I do? Well, I made a video that explains it all. You'll find a link to that in the description section of all my videos. And if you really enjoy and appreciate my work and you would like to contribute with a donation to help me out, a few different ways you could do that. One, by just hitting the super thanks button on the YT video here, or you can join my Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Patreon.com/NotBySightNews, link in the description. You guys want to get access to all these videos before they ever hit the main YT platform? Well, when you join Patreon, that's exactly what you are going to get, along with a bunch of other cool features. I hope you'll check it out and join me. Again, Patreon.com/NotBySightNews. Big thank you to everybody already contributing. Those thinking of doing so, thank you as well. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. What are we going to get into first? Let's start off with the latest JP video, because my gosh, this ain't good, everybody. I'm going to tell you why. Now, I mentioned, previous videos from JP, he's had these little, break periods. We didn't hear from him for like about 8 days, and then he, was back at it again. We were wondering whether or not the lawyers had finally gotten a hold of him and said, look, you got to stop talking. You're going to say something that's going to get yourself in trouble. We don't need that right now. You're under FBI investigation. You can't really hold your tongue on what you're saying. And, a lot of those videos were directed at Mica's family. The most recent one that he was, when he was still talking about the family, pretty much just outright blamed them for, being the ones responsible for Mica's death. He didn't hold anything back in that video. I covered that in a past update. You can go back on the channel and check it out. I believe I titled that video, John Paul Names the Guilty Party, if you want to go back and check that one out. But as of late, the last two videos, he has actually not mentioned Mica's family at all. It's been a little bit different for JP. And in this latest video, he addresses one thing. This is not the first time this was brought up. In fact, he mentioned this in one of the first videos that he started doing on that True Crime Re channel on TikTok. And he was back at it again talking about the tattoo. Of course, the Mica Miller tattoo that he has on him. He talked about this before. Many people have been calling him out and saying that it's just a temp tat. It's not. He just got this recently. He was trying to do it to, prove a point that, because the whole argument originally was that, well, Mica had a tattoo of, JP on her. And people were saying, well, that was a sign that JP was, trying to say that he owned her, and even her father, Mica's father, Michael Francis, had said that in interviews. And then, in one of JP's first videos, he, lifts up his shirt or whatever, and he shows it, and he says, well, if that's the case, then, what's this right here? And then he, shows the Mica tattoo. And again, people called that out. Now, what I found interesting was that, because I remembered back to this, in one of those original videos that he put out, one of the first ones, he talked about, because a lot of people said that the tattoo looked recent, right? Like he had it, just got it recently, just not long ago, a couple weeks, month ago maybe. But JP had said in his, one of his first videos that he got that tattoo around January. And, well, what's interesting is that in this latest video, he talks about how I got this around in November sometime. I think it was like November. So he changed the timing of when he got the tattoo. First he said January, then he said November. Who knows? But how did this all start? Well, apparently somebody has been taking pictures of him on the beach, and when he's been shirtless, and they've been saying where's the tattoo? They can't see the tattoo. So JP goes out on this video on Saturday, June 29th, and in this very just frantic panic, almost the voice, like this whiny voice, almost like the type of voice that you heard if you remember when he was rolling around on the ground, remember talking about the ants are on him and he wants to see Jesus and everything. It was almost in that tone where he was like getting all, it sounds like he's losing it. And I'm going to put the link in the description. You guys can watch the video there. There's going to be many clips in that where he's just like, I can't believe it. You people have nothing better to do. You're pathetic. You're losers. You're fools. He's just calling these people all these names again in this high pitched, frantic voice where he's freaking out over this tattoo, and he's saying, you people need to get a job. You need to date people and have a life. And what type of a person, a pathetic person would take a picture of somebody else on the beach with their gut hanging out. He's talking about his gut hanging out on the beach, and take this picture without telling them about it first and everything. It's just, I want to point this out. Again, not that I believe it myself, but this is somebody who is positioned himself as a pastor. Would this be the behavior that you would expect of somebody who is a pastor? Now, if you just were to take a look at this video and you didn't even know anything about this case and the story, would you guess that this is this guy's occupation, that he's a pastor? Probably not, right? But what else is he doing in this video? He's getting like a cloth, and he's got this like wet cloth, a baby wipe or something, and he's like trying to, wipe the tattoo to show you that it's real. Just frantic. This is what he's focused on. But I got to go back to the beginning, because he's obsessed with this tattoo thing. But didn't he tell us? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't he the one who told us in the beginning? When he was all about, I'm going to find justice for Mica myself, and I'm going to make sure of it. And I got this 350 pieces of proof that's going to prove to you who the real responsible one is here for my wife's death. Remember he was saying that? But no, he's frantic in this video, in this high-pitched voice, freaking out because of this, people are calling him out over the tattoo not being real. And it just, this ain't good. And look, there was a former member of Solid Rock Church who gave a recent interview and talked about how they think that JP might need to be 5150'd. Okay, that being, voluntarily committed to a mental hospital, like what happened with Mica. And look, when you look at his behavior and you analyze it on this, especially on this latest video, the way that he's speaking, very, just panicked. To me, in my opinion, he seems very worried that the walls are closing in. I mean, he even mentions Robbie Harvey again. This is, he just mentioned, I think it's like the second or third time he's mentioned his name in his videos. He don't like the guy. He's got something against him. Remember, he gave him a video and he thought that Robbie was going to be, nice with him and be on his side. That wasn't the case. But he's flipping out and he's all paranoid. Was he on something in this video? I mean, I don't know. It seems very strange to me, the way that he's acting and reacting, about the tattoo and the pictures on the beach. Something ain't right here. Something ain't right. He might be on something. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comment section about what you think about that. But that's the latest JP video. Again, obsessing about the tattoo, flipping out over the pictures of him at the beach. And again, this is a pastor. All right, let me move on to the next point here. Let's talk about Trisha Ross because, look, you don't want to hear something like this. Right? A lot of people don't like Trisha Ross, her affiliation with JP being the right hand. I don't believe that Trisha Ross would ever turn on JP. I just don't. We know that, from past reports, she's also an interest right now in this case and also under FBI investigation. I talked about her past as well, her checkered past, background with, in fraud charges against her and, her issues with her family and the fact that, she's not even allowed to see her own grandkids. Just a lot out there about her. And you look, people have said this before. If you look at the makeup of Solid Rock and the leadership that, they had at one time, I guess if you want to call it that, people who are, have been guilty of crimes. Bernard Kennerson, former associate pastor. I talked about him. He resigned back on May 5th, but he's a registered you-know-what for an incident that took place, many decades back. So these are the types of people that were attracted to Solid Rock and got linked up with JP. Birds of a feather. I talk about it all the time. Trisha Ross also, she was the one that was advertising the Superhero Sunday for June 30th. She was taking aim at people that were, throwing all sorts of backlash against it and, calling it out as being fake and just, trying to get attention. Well, now we learn that Trisha Ross is in the hospital. She was not at the church on June 30th and has apparently now been hospitalized due to heart issues. We don't know the extent of, what those heart issues are, if it was a heart attack or, palpitation, something like that. But she has been hospitalized for something like that. And again, this is coming, right after, those posts that she was putting out. But she's been going back and forth with people on social media for a while now. And look, again, you don't want to see this happen to anybody. You don't. But in light of everything that's going on, is her body breaking down because of, again, this feeling that the walls are now closing in on her, JP, people at Solid Rock, his circle, her being under FBI investigation. Is this a breakdown of the body here? And again, I don't know about other health issues that she may have. I think I heard in another report that she may have potentially like ulcers as well. So, I mean, if you factor all that in as well, this could happen. Look, so you see it, in JP's latest video, he's breaking down. He's, sounding frantic, high-pitched voice, flipping out over the tattoo, panicked that the walls are closing in. Now Trisha Ross is in the hospital. Is that because of, again, this pressure now coming on them? Is it about to be over? Are we getting to a point now where, we may soon be seeing some arrests in this case? I want to point out something that Robbie Harvey said on one of his more recent videos, because it's important to note this, especially when you look at the behavior now of these individuals. And Robbie believes, this is not confirmed as fact, but he believes that we are going to see something big in this case drop before July 29th. Whether that's an arrest or some sort of an announcement, maybe there's going to be multiple arrests in this. It might just not be just JP. But this might be, why we are seeing Ross and JP, all getting stressed out, now getting sick over this. Look, we're all sick over this, right? But, we're talking about, for them, they could be looking at a significant amount of time where they're in jail. So, again, we'll continue to monitor. It's important to look at the behavior and everything that's going on with them, as, I've continued to do as I've reported on this case. So let's move on now to the protests, because, again, once more, June 30th, we have them out there again, and they're not going to go away. They're not. I want to say this, though, because I do have a question, and maybe some of you can answer this for me in the comments section. We see these protests every single week outside of the church. Justice for Mica, right? They're chanting, Mica's blood is on your hands. They chant that at Charles Randall and others at the church. I want to know, because my curiosity here, what's going on inside the church? Okay? Because, we have heard from different sources that Solid Rock is not allowing anybody who comes inside the church, to have their phones out, to record what's going on, all of that. And that might be true, because because this is what it makes me, this is what I started thinking about. Because I cover, as you guys know, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I cover these different church corruption and the wolves and everything else like that. And oftentimes we hear elders of churches, tell, especially in staff meetings, but even in all church meetings, don't have your phones out, because they don't want, something that they say to get out there. They want to keep things a secret, right? And, and prevent it, from getting out to media and all that. Here's my question. I am shocked that that so far, ever since Mica passed away, I am shocked that we have not gotten some sort of a leaked recording from inside the church at, one of these services on a Sunday. Because, Charles Randall's been, the one primarily involved here, trying to take the preaching duties. I don't think JP's been preaching. Again, I could be wrong. I don't know what's going on the inside of the church. I know he's been showing up at the church. But, again, I am surprised that we have not gotten any sort of a leaked recording or anything else like that from inside the church. And the reason I think that maybe we haven't is because the only people that are attending this church now at this point are JP's inner circle and the loyalists that are with him, right? We also know that, many of the people from Charles Randall's church have been, basically planted now over at Solid Rock to help kind of, fill the parking lot, make it look, the optics are important here, make it look like there's more people than there really are. So again, I think that we're now dealing with a situation where the majority of the people that are involved are within his circle. They might be board members. So think about it. Why would they record it, right? They're not going to turn on him. They're not going to do anything to, ruffle their feathers. And maybe they are making them turn their phones in, up front or something, and they secure them away until after the service so that they can't, just in case somebody does feel like, recording something. But I find that interesting. Again, we're talking about now 2 months since Mica's passing, and we really haven't heard anything about what's going on inside of the church. If anybody has any insight into that, though, I'd love to know your thoughts. You can, again, drop them down below in the comment section. I know there's a lot of people that have boots on the ground there that are in front of the church. They take great videos and they get great clips and pictures and everything like that every Sunday on the outside. But again, I'm wondering what's going on, on the inside of the church. Just something to think about. And here's another point I want to, mention too. And I'm going to get to everything that happened. I promise you guys I am. But I got so much in my head right now. I got to get this out there. I got so many points I want to bring up. And again, I always welcome the discussion in the comments. But JP was spotted out there again, June 30th. Why is he showing up? Why is he? I know he missed last week, and maybe even the week before, but I know he's been out there almost every Sunday, right? Because he loves the crowd. I think he loves the attention, right? He wants to see what's going on here. Here's my question. He knows that with all this distraction, everything like that, this is not good for Solid Rocket Market Comedy. This is why I think that, again, the only people that are attending here are the ones that are within his inner circle. And that's it, right? I don't think you're getting people, I could be wrong, but just my opinion, I don't think you're getting random people that are showing up to the church on a Sunday saying, oh, let's go check out this church today and see what it's all about. Especially when you see all the protesters out there and everything else like that. They probably want nothing to do with this place. It would be very easy for JP and Randall or whoever else to just, close the church up for a little bit, right? Maybe meet at Randall's church instead. Well, why not do the opposite? Why not, take JP's congregants, whoever's left, and just plant them over at Charles Randall's church, and you can hold your Solid Rock services over there. I mean, hey, JP could even preach. You could even do 2 services. Randall can do the service for his congregants. JP can do the service for his. And lock it up for a little bit, because then you're not drawing the attention anymore. And I'm not trying to give them advice, but I'm saying the protesters aren't going to be protesting out there if there's no services going on. But then again, that's what the protesters have said. They're not going to stop until one or two things happen. Either JP is in handcuffs or the church shuts down altogether. So they're probably not going to do it just because they don't want to give the protesters, the satisfaction of knowing that it was because of them that they closed up shop. So they're doing everything they can to continue with the optics here, make it seem like everything is okay when it's really not okay, but they're not really fooling anybody. But I just, again, if you're calling police, because they called the police again as well, you're doing all these things. It's like, if it was, because I'm all over the place. You just bear with me. Because I got so much. I'm drinking coffee too, by the way. How about you guys? Because I'm getting pretty wired right now. But, if you were really wanting to preach the word of God, just stick with me for a second on this. If you're really wanting to preach the word of God, okay, and you don't want to be interrupted with the noise of the protesters or all that, look, you would find another place to bring the church to, right? Tell the congregants in advance, right? You want to keep it hush-hush? Just keep it within your inner circle anyway. Nobody would even probably know where you're meeting. Maybe some would eventually find out. But, you could preach somewhere where you're not going to be, interrupted by the noise and the commotion and everything else like that. But that's not what they're doing. They're continuing to hold service in that building, with all the distractions, and they call the police, but they're playing into it. They're playing into it. So, yeah, this is why I can say this is not a real church. It's a facade. They're putting on a show. Speaking of a show, it was a circus outside Solid Rock at Market Common on Sunday, June 30th. And again, the protesters were there. The police were called. JP was there. Here's what went down. Again, I mentioned Superhero Sunday. Didn't really go off the way they thought. Now, someone did show up in a Spider-Man outfit, but apparently, again, I told you the police were called. This individual was told that they were not allowed to have masks on, that it was illegal to have a mask on. They were outside. Remember, they're across the street. They're on the sidewalk. But they were told by police that they weren't allowed to have the mask on, that it was illegal. But it's interesting because, JP can parade around in the Spider-Man outfit all over town, driving the thing. And apparently that's okay. He's not confronted by police on that. He's not arrested, nothing like that. Now, in the link that I will provide for you in the description, again, there's going to be multiple clips in this from the protests that occurred on the 30th. You're going to see the individual in the Spider-Man outfit being confronted and talked about how it's illegal to wear the mask, and that, they were going to be, checking into the municipality on this and, or the ordinance and whether or not, can you do it on Halloween, but not on, any other Sunday. But again, remember, they advertise a Superhero Sunday. So somebody showing up in a Spider-Man mask, it's not, really out of the question considering what it was that they were promoting. But again, we've seen the Spider-Man outfits every single week out there. So you had that. They're being confronted about that. The car horns going off. And this is where it started to get a little bit more confrontational. Somebody from the church, and you will see this in the clips, somebody from the church ends up turning the sprinklers on the protesters, okay? And a lot of them got sprayed in the face and everything else like that. And you heard a couple of them, yelling out that they would, that's it. That's, technically you're trying to get physical in that sense. You're trying to come at them, that someone was threatening even a lawsuit. Could that be considered breaking the law? Spraying water in somebody's face like that, that's potentially an issue. That could come up. Now, this is apparently the first time that this has happened. So again, they're turning the sprinklers on them. To me, that's an act of taking it too far. They're getting a little bit, now, too physical. Call it what you want. But I don't think that I have seen any reports of any of the protesters, throwing things at, any members of the church. No, they're chanting things. They got their signs, right? They got bullhorns and all of that. But they have not, to my knowledge, in any way struck out at any member of the church in any way. But to me, this was the church doing that to them. And that's not good, because this is something I've said from the beginning. I didn't want it to get to a point where, we started to see any sort of, violent type of things happen on either side. You want to keep it peaceful. And, the church seemingly the first couple of weeks did that. They weren't really, they were dealing with it. There was no, major confrontations. But now we're starting to see it, because I think that they're getting, they're feeling the pressure too. Again, to turn the sprinklers down, I don't think it was just any church member. I'm sure this was somebody in quote unquote leadership that did this. So I wonder if they're going to be talked to by the police, because the police seem more concerned about the individual in the Spider-Man mask than they were, the one who turns the sprinklers on the protesters out there, getting them out. I mean, maybe some of them were okay with it because it's, hot day out there in Myrtle Beach, probably a little humid as well. And you could hear some joking on the video that, they don't have to take a shower today because, Solid Rock already took care of that for them. But look, here's the thing you got to understand. Some people might dismiss this. Oh, who cares? It's sprinklers. Look, this week it's sprinklers. Next week it could be something else. Again, you don't want this to escalate. That's what I've been talking about now for weeks. So turning the sprinklers on them, again, this could end up turning into something bigger. You don't want to see that. Now, speaking of something bigger, someone else that we've seen out these protests every single week has also been somebody dressed up as Jesus as well. Okay, so we had Spider-Man and we had Jesus. Jesus was back out there again on June 30th. And JP confronted Jesus. That's right. Maybe not in the way that we want him to. But as I mentioned, the police were called out there. JP was talking to them, and he claims, and I don't know if this is true, okay? I'm not telling you that this is fact. But this is what people are saying that are on the ground out there, the boots on the ground. They're saying that the individual that was dressed up as Jesus pulled a you-know-what on JP. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that's terrible. Again, remember, we're talking about escalation here. We don't want things to be escalated at all. I kind of, point this out. Remember, again, back on that, 911 call with Sierra Francis and Mica back in November of 2022, what did JP, say in the text messages? Remember, he was armed and ready. He had 6 pieces with him, and he was ready to go. So now he's claiming now that this guy dressed as Jesus had a piece on him and pulled the piece on JP. And again, he was talking to police. You could see it in the clips as well. I don't know if any arrests were made. I can't confirm that. Or I don't know if JP was making this up. Look, JP loves to call the police. This is something that's been, really one of the main points we've talked about throughout this case is the amount of times this guy has called, especially 911, right? Calling police. He even called the police on Robbie Harvey. Robbie Harvey talked about it in his most recent video for something Robbie Harvey didn't even do. So did Jesus pull a piece out on JP? I don't know. But again, confronting Jesus, not in the way that he should. Also reports there that the police had apparently told the protesters that they weren't allowed to be honking their horns, as part of the protest. But then someone, and again, this is all people that were on the ground there, because again, it was a circus out there. Nothing against the protesters, but just, things, again, they're escalating. But then someone claims that JP had hit a button on his, remote to his car, to his truck or something, and he was making his own horn go off on his truck to somehow make it seem like it was the protesters that were doing it so that they would get in trouble with the police. Just a complete and total chaos. Oh, and let me not forget to mention this, and then I'll wrap things up. But he was again asked about the tattoo. You can hear protesters here on the video. They were telling JP, show us your tattoo, show us your tattoo. And he played right into it, couldn't resist. He flashed them. He lifts up his shirt. He's trying to point and show off the tattoo to them that it's right there. Again, so again, he is so just up in arms about this whole tattoo thing and, proving people that it's real. I don't know if it's real or not. I can't say that it's fake. I have no clue. if it is or not. Again, I always say you can't put anything past JP. But again, with so much in this case now, and we're waiting on the 350 pieces of evidence from him to be shown, and well, nothing has been shown. Is it because there is nothing to show, or is this going to come out later in court? We don't know. Remember, he did file a motion, that being JP and his lawyer, Joy Page, to have the court documents sealed. And also Regina Ward, the attorney representing Mica's family, filed, right back and said, no, they don't want these sealed. So how are you going to show us proof if you want everything sealed and you want to keep this whole thing from the public? So funny how that, all changes up there. So yeah, that is the update. Again, it's a lot of information, I know, but there usually always is when we're talking about JP and everything at Solid Rock. Oh, one other thing I will mention, I heard somebody bring this up, actually. One of the protesters brought this up, and I just thought I would mention it here on my video, too. I think it's only right. There's apparently been a lot of people who have been writing negative reviews, thinking that they're directing it towards Solid Rock at Market Common, but apparently there's another Solid Rock in Myrtle Beach. It's called Solid Rock Baptist Church. That's not the same church. So I want everybody to know that. There have been people that have actually been giving negative reviews to this Solid Rock Baptist Church, thinking that it's Solid Rock at Market Common. Don't do that. If you are wanting to write a negative review, make sure you are doing it for Solid Rock at Market Common. Because again, there's another Solid Rock there, Solid Rock Baptist Church in Myrtle Beach, and they're getting, undeserved negative reviews directed at their church because they're getting confused with, JP's. So I just wanted to mention that because I heard one of the protesters mention it on one of the clips. So again, we don't want, that's terrible. We don't want any negative attention. Some people that think that, oh, that's JP's. It's not. So Solid Rock Baptist Church in Myrtle Beach, not the same church as, John Paul Miller's Solid Rock at Market Common. So I'll continue to keep you updated on this case as more information comes out. We'll see whether or not JP is going to be putting out any more videos or not. He probably will, knowing him. What that will be about, God only knows. But again, you will find the link down below in the description. Make sure you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the description box to find that. And as always, I welcome your thoughts and comments. Don't forget to, if you enjoy and appreciate my work and you would like to contribute with a donation, you can hit the super thanks button on the YT video or join that Patreon for as little as $5 a month, patreon.com/notbysightnews. What I want to do right now, something I do on all these videos, let's end this video on hope. It's part of my ministry outreach. This is an altar call. I've been doing this on my videos since 2016. No matter what it is that I'm discussing here, exposing church corruption of these wolves, we always want to give people the opportunity to receive Christ as Savior. That being said, for anybody watching now, if you are somebody who has not yet received Jesus as Lord and Savior and you would like to do so, I want to lead you in a prayer to do that right now. This is a prayer you could do in your own words, but I will give you the steps you need to bring it before the Lord today. The first thing you want to do, right off the top, acknowledge you are a sinner. That is something that we all are. The good news is that God gave his only Son, Jesus Christ, to die on that cross for the sins of all the world, as he died and rose again for you and me. He paid the cost. What you have to do is repent of your sin. That means to turn from sin, not just to say you're sorry and jump back to your old ways, but to actually turn from sin, which are those lifestyles, patterns, habits, behaviors, things in your life that go against the Word of God. If you humbly go before the Lord, though, and ask him to forgive you, he'll wipe your sin away. The Bible says he doesn't remember it any longer. And then you invite Jesus into your life to be your Lord and Savior. When you do that, you become born again, a child of God. You will have eternal life. Trust me when I tell you there is no greater decision that you will ever make than the one you do to give your life to Christ. And I pray you make that decision today. Again, more info down below. Thank you all again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back with more. You guys take care. Please be safe out there. God bless each and every single one of you. And I'll talk with you soon.